So what we're looking at here is the model of the mind and the different levels of the mind that we have. And this chart hopefully helps you understand maybe where your mind is at and where your thoughts and decisions are coming from, so you can hopefully grow and expand your mind to bring more harmony and unity and peace into your life. So as you can see at the beginning, or sorry, at the center of the diagram is a thick white circle, and in that circle is what I call it, what is known as the ego mind. So your thoughts are in there, your emotions are in there, and together your thoughts and your emotions form what's called a belief system. We all have thousands and thousands of thoughts running through our head on a daily basis. However, we don't really act on a lot of our thoughts. Otherwise, we would be doing, jumping from one thing to the next very, very quickly. There's a lot of thoughts that you go through your head that you do not act on. And the reason you do not act on them is because there is not enough emotional attachment to that thought in your head. Once there's a strong emotional attachment, a strong desire, whether it's fear or anger or greed, that causes motion. So think of emotions, the E for energy, and then motion. So emotions provoke a person to do something. And so when you have a thought with a strong emotional attachment to it, that forms a belief system. And a belief system is what governs a person's behavior. And so belief systems are basically programs in the mind. That's all I want you to think about a belief system is. When a child is born into this world, his or her mind is blank and completely empty, and it is programmed by the environment around it. There is some biological programming, obviously, with just to immediate survival needs and wanting to feed, but in terms of actually how to behave and interact with the environment around it, the child witnesses the behavior of family, witnesses the behavior of what it sees on TV, witnesses the behavior of friends and extended family and environment around it, and by witnessing the behavior, that then is absorbed into the mind of the child from about the ages of 0 to 7, and forms a belief system, and this functions as the programming for which a person behaves throughout the rest of their life. So as such, it is pretty important, I think, to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, so you can be conscious of your behavior. Because they are programs, you can also think of them as autopilot. In certain situations, in certain stimulus in the environment around you, or in certain circumstances, a program will kick in and say, this is exactly how you should respond in that situation. So if you are not fully aware of what you are doing, if you're not fully aware of how you are behaving, chances are you're acting off a belief system which was programmed into your system at a very young age and just continues to repeat itself over and over again until you decide to change it. So many of us have these behaviors that we do, and we just run on autopilot throughout the day. And some of these belief systems work for us, but many of them do not. And the ones that you want to start looking at and cracking through are the ones that are causing disharmony and tension and fear and anger and any negative emotion you can think of. Those are the programs that you want to look at in your mind. And so if you notice, around the ego mind there's a very thick white barrier. That is because the ego mind is very, very protective of itself, and it is very guarded, and you can think of that thick white barrier in that first circle as the layer of fear that a person has. And fear is what blocks you from keeping an open mind to new ideas and realizing perhaps that The ideas and the beliefs that you carry around with you are not necessarily serving you anymore. So in order to change your belief systems and your ego mind, so to speak, fear is one of the major obstacles that you will have to overcome. So there's many ways that this can happen to get a person to open up, but the primary way is through experience. And so since an emotion drives a person into action, as you can see, outside of the white thick circle there's an arrow beneath it, and it points and goes back and forth to that circle and the word action. So all of your emotions and your belief systems are driving your actions and what you are doing. So in any situation, you have to bring awareness to what you are doing. And if you cannot bring awareness to what you are doing, you are acting unconsciously and on autopilot. So once what you basically have to do is start paying attention to all of your actions and or non-actions, and looking at situations and determining whether those actions are bringing you harmony or those actions are bringing you aggravation. And so once you start to bring awareness to this, then you start to actually make your decisions now from a conscious mind or a free will perspective. You can now look at what you are doing and look at how you are acting and make a decision about what you want to do. Now, the key here is you have to keep an open mind and understand that whenever there is disharmony in your life, it is you that has to do something about it. You can either try and change the situation, or you can try and change yourself. However, if you change the situation, you carry your belief systems into another situation. Those belief systems might just end up manifesting themselves all over again. So generally, in most circumstances, but not all circumstances, you will have to look at yourself, at all circumstances, you will have to look at yourself and determine what about you that you need to change the situation around you to make it more positive. And sometimes that does mean leaving a situation, but sometimes it can also mean staying in a situation and changing how you perceive the situation. You certainly never want to stay in a situation where you are deliberately being abused or manipulated. So that is for your discernment and for you to determine. So you want to be able to move from the ego mind, which is just autopilot, and acting on behaviors that you learned through other people. So the ego mind is basically everybody else's thoughts and feelings running through you, and you're just acting out what other people taught you. You want to be able to move from that point to actually living from your conscious mind. So this does take a process. It does take time. You have to be patient. Some behaviors are so ingrained and there is so much strong emotional attachment to the idea that it can take a while, and it can take a lot of your free will or willpower to overcome some of the negative behaviors that you have, especially as it pertains to addictive behaviors, whether it's addiction to food or to work or to sex or to drugs or whatever it is, cigarettes. So there's a lot of addictions in society, but that's for another video. So you want to be able to slowly wean yourself away from all of the belief systems out of your egoic mind that don't work for you any longer, and start working from your conscious mind and consciously making the decisions that are going to move you forward in your life and bring harmony and peace and unity into your life. And sometimes some of those decisions can be pretty tough, but the tougher the decision that you have to make, the more that speaks to how much your ego has identified and attached to that belief system that you have. And really it is just an idea that you have to change or let go of, and that's all. But we like to make things a lot more difficult than they are. So once you sort of move beyond and transcend most of your decisions or all of your decisions being made from your ego mind, as your ego mind is what keeps you in fear and keeps you separate uh, from everybody else and thinking that it's separate from everybody else. You move to the state of a conscious individual where you're making decisions to better your life and improve yourself and grow and evolve as an individual. However, it will continue to go beyond that, and at some point you will feel the urge to grow to another level. And as you can see by the conscious mind, instead of having a straight or thick white line, there is now a dotted semi-permeable mind, because now you're coming more from a place where you're more opening and accepting of new ideas coming into your world, and more open and accepting to expressing your ideas into the world. So there's more of a free flow of energy coming in and out of you. So it's more of a dotted line, just to represent that. And you now want your conscious mind to direct your behavior. Now, emotions are not a bad thing in themselves. To understand the nature of emotion, I have a series of videos on mastering your emotions. Please check it out. But emotions themselves are just a neutral energy that make you want to do something or to put you into action. It's the belief system that makes you convince yourself that this emotion is bad or that emotion is bad. You incur negative karma when you act out a negative emotion against someone, and that action will cause a reaction back at you exactly as you put it out. But if you are now acting from a place of conscious free will, whenever you get angry or whenever you feel a strong emotion coming up, you can actually then channel and harness that energy into some positive action, instead of driving negative behaviors excuse me, against other people. So you want to move then beyond the conscious mind to what is called the divine mind. And to move from that, you have to move out of your head completely and into your heart. Anything that you think or create out of your right or left brain is bound to be dualistic in nature, and you will automatically create a positive and a negative to it because it is coming from the mind. The mind is the mind, speaking from the perspective of it's your not your divine mind but your ego mind, always creates in duality, but you want to get away from that. You want to move towards the divine mind, and this is getting out of your head completely and into your heart. The heart is the seat of the divine mind. It is the seat of unity consciousness. It is the seat of your highest intent, and when you act from your heart, you act from a place of pure and unconditional love. And when you do that, you do not act out and invite negative karma to come back into your life, because you come from a place of pure love. There is no duality in pure love. It just is pure love. And as you can see, the dotted line on the biggest circle is very permeable. It should almost not be there, but just to illustrate the relationship between that and the other lines, it is a very thin permeable line, because when you are coming from a place of pure love, you are coming from a place that is extremely accepting of what other people are doing, and extremely accepting of everyone and everything, unconditionally accepting, but also unconditionally receiving. So there's a lot more flow of energy coming in and out of a person when they're acting and living from their heart. So when you get to this place from the divine mind and you start to act from your heart, you start to bring unity and peace and harmony into your life, and then further you want to, it's just a natural extension of who you are and how you are. You just want to be able to start helping other people, because the separation between you and other people starts to dissolve, and you start to realize that other people are you and you are other people. And not only that, everything is you and you are everything. So when you act out on everything and everyone around you, you want to come from the highest intent and pure love, and then that is exactly what you uh, return or receive, and you will be open to that. So coming from a place of pure intent, you have to be able to feel it. You have to be able to work your way out of your egoic mind, and you don't want to completely dissolve your egoic mind. In that state where your ego mind is completely dissolved, you experience yourself as everyone and everything, but you can't act because you're in a complete state of bliss and you're actually no good to society and all the people that will help, that need help in society, or yourself. So from my perspective, you still have an ego when you have it for a reason. It's for without the ego, there is no individual experience, because you are everyone and everything. You just want to be able to not dissolve it, but transcend the ego and keep it in its place, and know when it's there, but make sure that it is not guiding your actions. Your heart and your higher divine mind should be guiding your actions. Then, once you discern and feel what's coming from your heart, you can then channel and use your free will to harness your emotions, and the emotions give you the energy to and the impetus and the drive to act and move into an experience. And when you move into these experiences that come from your heart, you have a high level of awareness of your experience. You have a high level of awareness of how your experience is affecting not only you, but affecting the people in the environment around you. When you're coming from the egoic mind, your awareness is very low, if any at all. As I said before, those are unconscious behaviors. So generally moving from your ego mind, using your actions and discerning through your experiences and watching what you are doing and paying attention to your thoughts and your feelings as you are doing things throughout your day and your life, and how you're interacting with people and your job and the decisions you're making, financial decisions and dietary decisions, all these sorts of things. You have to start to sort out what you're thinking and feeling while you're doing them, and if those experiences are bringing you a negative result and you're not happy with them, you have to trace them back to what you're thinking and what you're doing. And this can be a little bit difficult sometimes. Once you are aware that you are stuck in a negative behavior loop, you ultimately become a lot more responsible for it, because awareness brings that responsibility to you. And if you are aware that you're deliberately cheating or deliberately lying or being dishonest, an unconscious person will experience the negative repercussions of that, but they won't be really aware of how it's affecting them. But once you become aware of what you're doing and how you're doing, the consequences become magnified that much more, and they become so to further spur your emotional body, to charge up your emotional body into performing some action to get you out of your negative behavior loop that you're repeating over and over again. So use your actions and your experiences to discern what you're doing. You don't always have to delve deep into some childhood trauma or something like that, as most belief systems are just what we witnessed when we grew up, and how we witnessed in the environment imprinted upon us as we grow up. And so many of these belief systems and little negative behavior things, you don't always have to delve into your past to get to them. Actually, it works both ways. As you can see, the arrows go up and down. You can change a thought or a belief system within yourself and that can manifest a change in actions and therefore a change in your experience. But if you are a conscious individual, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can actually do it in the reverse manner, in the sense that you may have a bad habit or behavior that you're doing, or a bad way that you're reacting to someone all the time. You can just choose to change your experience and do something different. And the more you do something different, the more that changes your actions, the more that goes back and will actually create new programming in your subconscious mind that will overwrite the old programming. And the more you repeat it over and over again, this new behavior that you want to do, the more that becomes your new belief system. And as long as it works for you, then after a while you don't have to put as much energy into it, because it is so ingrained into your system that it just becomes on autopilot. But it becomes on autopilot in a good way. It's established as part of your routine and your rhythm. So just be aware of that. It doesn't always mean going into these huge crying sessions or huge clearing sessions where you go deep into your psyche and clear things out. Sometimes all you just need to do is change your action, and that's it. And the pattern will change in the subconscious mind from the action inwards, not from the thought outwards. So this is my diagram and on how the mind works, and how I think the mind works, and how we should evolve out of our ego minds to a more conscious individual using our free will, but then ultimately moving out of our minds completely, or not completely, but moving out of our minds as the center of our lives and decision making, to a place where you're coming from the heart, where the heart is guiding your decisions, and you're bringing unity consciousness into your life and the people around you. So thank you very much for watching this video.